Hi, my name's Jillian. Thank you so much for coming in today. What's your name?
I'm Ashley Johnson.
Hi, Ashley. It's so nice to meet you. Is it okay if I call you Ashley today?
Yeah, that's okay.
Okay. So, a couple things I like to tell my new faces when they come in is that this is just our initial meeting. I'm so happy to be meeting with you today. Just a get to know you meeting. I want to hear who you are, tell me about you. And since this is also is the first meeting, it might seem a little like a questionnaire, like I'm going through a list of questions. And that's just so I can get to know you. And with that being said, I also have my notebook right here. These are just some notes, so if I'm not looking at you, because I know this is virtual and it's easier online, um, I'll be just writing a few notes down.
Okay.
Before we get started, one question I do like to ask, and I have to ask, is do you have any thoughts of harming yourself or anyone at this time?
No.
Good. I'm happy that was the answer. So what brings you in today, Ashley?
Lately I've just been very anxious about school, juggling my job and education, and also including my personal life in those things has been very overwhelming for me lately.
Right. And I completely understand that. I know since you are 20, you probably experienced graduation with high school around COVID time and now getting into college and also working. Good for you for working. I didn't work in college. That I couldn't juggle both of that. So that's a lot. So I understand how you feel, and that is stressful. So, do you have any sort of vices? Do you have any activities you do maybe to release your stress? Like, do you drink or do you use any sort of substance abuse?
I drink occasionally. Um, I smoke like nicotine, vaping. That's really it.
All right. Yeah, it sounds like typical thing most young adults do. So, how can I best support you today?
Um, I don't really have a lot of friends or a lot of people to talk to. So I guess I kind of just need someone for that. My life is very busy and I don't really have time for myself and to focus on like me mentally.
Yeah, yeah. Well, thank you for coming in and being so vulnerable with me today. I forgot to mention this earlier, but as I go through asking you these questions, if you do not feel comfortable with any question that I'm asking and it makes you feel some sort of way, you do not have to answer it. You could just tell me, Jillian, I don't want to answer that, and we'll just skip over it real quick. So don't feel uncomfortable or don't feel like you can't speak up. This is confidential. This is between you and I. Unless you're feel like you're harming yourself or thoughts of harming yourself, like you said you did not, then I would have to obviously intervene. But this is completely confidential between you and I.
Okay.
So going back to some of the questions, how was your home life growing up?
I have two siblings, two younger brothers. I'm the oldest. One's 16, one's 14, so they're very young. It's us three and my mom. My dad's not in the picture. She was a single mom as we grew up.
Yeah, that must have been hard for you. Um, was your mother working as well?
Yeah, she worked two jobs, so she wasn't really around often. I kind of took over.
Yeah, how did that make you feel with your siblings?
It was hard. I'm only 20, so I felt like I had to grow up way faster than I should have, especially since they're so young.
Right. And I agree. That is a very young age for you to take on the mothering role or mothering responsibilities of getting your brothers to school, maybe making them food or getting them to their practices or extracurriculars. So that is a lot, and I completely understand the stress and why you are here. That's a lot to take in. You did say you went to school and you have a job. What's your current occupation?
I work at a pizza place
All right. And how often do you work there?
about 4 days a week, right after school.
And when you go to school, are you commuting to school as well?
Yeah, I commute.
And where do you go to school?
I go to Newark, so it's a lot of traffic.
Yeah, yeah, that is a lot of traffic, and that's a lot to do. I'm sure a lot of your time throughout the day is spent driving as well, so that's a lot.
Yeah.
Do you receive any special services or resources?
I get financial aid for college. My family gets food stamps. Right now we're actually being threatened to get evicted if we don't pay rent on time.
Oh, wow, that is hard to deal with. I'm so sorry. And you did say you lived in Newark. What school do you go to?
I go to Rutgers.
Okay, so maybe we can discuss that in further meeting, but I'd like to discuss Rutgers with you as well. Let's take a pause. Are there any questions, comments that you have right now?
No, not yet.
All right. I have a few more just to go over. I know this is really questiony. It's not meant to be. It won't be like that in our future meetings.
Okay.
Family history. Do you have any sort of family history of abuse, substance abuse, or mental health?
My father left when I was young, so I'm not really sure about abuse. Mental health, I'm not sure either.
All right. Okay. And substance abuse as well? Any form of
Um,
in your family?
my mom recently told me after I graduated high school that my dad was an alcoholic. She waited till I was older because I could probably understand.
Yeah, and I understand from your mother's point of view why she would wait. That is a lot of information for someone to take in. And you said she told you a couple of years ago, so you were probably still a teenager when she told you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So with all this stuff going on with your family, a lot of events, life events have happened in your short life. Who would you say is your support system?
I would say my one coworker. She's like 40 years old. She became kind of like another mom figure to me. She kind of just inspires me overall to be just a better person.
Oh, I love to hear that. That's great. I know with your mother being semi-absent, I know she physically would love to be there for you. She has to take care of the bills. Life happens. So that is good that your coworker you see almost every single day.
Yeah.
You mentioned that you drink occasionally and you smoke at the beginning of our session. I want to go back to that. Can you touch a little bit more on that? How often, how would you define occasionally? Like, how often is that?
I would say after work, whenever I work, when I get home from work, I usually have a drink.
Okay, and I know you mentioned you're working part-time. You're working about 4 days a week after school. So would you say you're drinking about 4 days a week?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And what would you think that's excessive? Would you think that's a little, a lot?
I mean, it's a good amount, but I don't drink every day. So,
That's true. You're right. But I'd like you to think about when you go to drink. So, say it's a Monday, you're coming home from school, and you have that in between time of maybe you have a half hour before it's work, time for work. Are you going home and you're drinking when you go home before work?
no, I usually just drink after work.
Okay. Okay. When you go home and drink after work, then would you say you need that drink or would you say you want that drink?
Um, I guess sometimes I need it depending how stressful the day is.
And I also want to mention one thing that you talked about regarding your father. So when your mother told you a couple years ago that your father left due to drinking, um, would you say that was around the time that you started drinking?
Um, I mean, yeah, maybe like a year after I started.
Okay. So I know we have a couple more minutes left. Let's just take a pause right there. How are you feeling right now?
I'm good right now.
Okay, good. Good. I'm glad. So we have a few minutes left, like I said. Um, what would you like to, what would you want to happen at the end of this meeting?
I think I kind of just need some guidance for my next step in life. I haven't really thought about career and jobs after I graduate. Um, and I think now's the time I need to start thinking about that. I
Sure.
think just learning how to time manage help my mental health
I,
overall.
I'm here for you. So I'm happy that you mentioned that. So well, I wrote down a couple of things for our next meeting that I would like to discuss. There are some other resources that I'd like to connect you with and maybe start talking regarding financial aid, regarding housing, and seeing if Rutgers has some opportunities there that we can use. I also would like you to start thinking about when you go to drink this week, how does that make you feel? Like, well, when you're actively going to get a drink, is it because you want it or is it because you need it? So, those are a few things I want you to think about this week, as well as what we'll discuss in our next meeting. When would be a good time for you to meet?
I don't work on Tuesdays, so after school on Tuesdays around 3 o'clock work for me.
Great. So, Tuesdays at 3, I'd love to hear from you again, and we'll pick up where we left off, Ashley.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. Have a good day.
You too.